only 5% of disease-related gene mutations are fully penetrant. I'll repeat that. Only 5% of disease-related gene mutations are fully penetrant in that they guarantee the disease. These days, everybody knows what a mutation is. Every day we hear about, the Delta mutation and the this mutation and the that mutation, as COVID-19 virus frequently goes mutations depending on weather patterns, population density, risk of disease, etc. A mutation is a genetic variant or an error. So, genes are made of 4 letters: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. These are the 4 alphabets of life. When I speak in English, we use 26 alphabets to communicate. Life communicates only through 4 letters, A, T, C, G. And the way you arrange them is what is called a gene. So think of the alphabet of life as ATCG, standing for those 4 chemical bases, and think of genes that translate the language of life into biological expression. Now, obviously, every time genes replicate, there's a possibility of a variant, a spelling mistake. Think of genes as the word that becomes the flesh, and ATCG as the alphabet. And so once in a while, there's a spelling mistake or a typo. It could be that one of the letters is upside down or is missing, or there are 2 letters instead of 1. In other words, as I said, a spelling mistake that translates into an abnormal protein or antigen that ultimately results in disease. What I'm saying right now is only 5% of these mutations guarantee disease. So if somebody has a BRCA gene, for example, for breast cancer, then that's a fully penetrant gene. And Angelina Jolie, the actress, is a well-known example of that because she had the BRCA gene and she had a preventive mastectomy, and that's still the recommendation for fully penetrant genes as in cancer. But that applies to every disease, whether it's autoimmune illness or cancer or heart disease or cerebrovascular disease or any disease you can think of, even accelerated aging and the mistakes that occur with aging. Only 5%, Alzheimer's disease, only 5% of genes are predictive. The rest are modifiable through what we call epigenetic activity. Epi means above, and epigene, therefore above the genes, a sheath of proteins called histones, and DNA is wrapped around these, and every experience alters the expression of the genes. So it's not the genes, but the expression of the genes. And as I said, only 5% of those expressions are at the moment not preventable. Even as we speak now, there are organizations like Crispr. I have a very good friend at Crispr. He's Indian American of Indian origin, and he guarantees that in about 5 years or less, we'll have the ability to cut and paste genes in the same way that we do emails. So you'll be able to read the barcode of a gene, delete the offensive gene or gene that causes disease, and paste the healthy gene. Now, that's huge revolution. And CRISPR is already approved for sickle cell anemia and soon will be approved for other diseases. But the reason I mention this is it still affects only 5% of all illness. 95% is related to these daily activities. We every day, we sleep, we eat, we have sensory experience, we metabolize food, we eliminate, we think, we feel. And those activities actually govern what we call our biology through activation of genes or on-off switches on genes that are basically turned on and turned off through what we call experience. So we metabolize experience into our biological responses. And there's a phrase in the Ayurvedic literature, Science of Life, that if you want to know what your experiences were like in the past, without using esoteric terms like karma, although karma is now a household word, but if you want to know what your experiences were in the past, look at your body right now. And if you want to know what your body will look like in the future, then look at your experiences right now, because we metabolize every wisp of experience and turn it into a biological response to these on-off switches on our genes that are regulated by the metabolism of experience.
हेल्थ, फिटनेस और पोषण पर पाए बेस्ट डॉक्टर्स की राय सिर्फ famhealth.in पर, और हमारी YouTube पेज माय फैम हेल्थ पर सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें।